What is up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. Today's reaction video is regional terms in the US defined by Geography King. Go and check them out. It's been a while since we've done them, hasn't it?
Yeah, it's been a long time.
Awesome channel, some great content on there. And I wonder, I wonder what this is going to go into. Regional terms, is it going to just be words, I guess?
Maybe.
Kind of like chewing gum in the UK. Up north, it can be classed as chuddy. Down below, chewy. And
Different
stuff like that.
Say different things.
Different things. I guess that's what we're going to go down. I'm not sure. Smash that like button, guys. Smash that subscribe button. Let's find out. Are you ready?
Yeah.
Let's get into it. What we got? Howdy.
Howdy, it's Kyle talking about regions in the U.S., what we call them, and how we define them. Many non-Americans will often hear terms such as Midwest or South. And
okay, I think I was completely wrong. I think it's actually talking about the regions, what they call them, not what words they use.
Oh.
Yeah, I got it wrong.
Wonder which parts of the country that refers to, or we'll see a map and wonder why certain places are or are not considered part of that region. And also there's some disagreement amongst Americans about which places are or are not part of that certain area. So in this video, I'm going to talk about these regions, which places are or are not part of it, and also some of the disagreements that we might have. I'm going to start by talking about New England, which is the northeastern corner of the U.S. This is the easiest region in the country to define, as it consists of the entirety of these 6 states and these 6 states only. All of the other regions that I'll be talking about have some aspects that transcend state lines, but not New England.
Okay.
Going down the coast, the next region is the Mid-Atlantic. Generally speaking, this refers to the part of the country south of New England and north of the South. If you're talking just state lines, then all of New York is part of the Mid-Atlantic region, although much of upstate New York is farther north than much of New England. And Pennsylvania is usually considered part of the Mid-Atlantic region, even though it is not a coastal state. Sometimes you will see Virginia and West Virginia included in the term Mid-Atlantic, especially the area around the Chesapeake Bay in Virginia.
Okay.
The coastal part of this region is part of the Northeast megalopolis, and sometimes when people are using the term Mid-Atlantic, they're using it to refer to the part of the megalopolis between New York and Washington. But this region is difficult to define by state lines, so if you go down into greater detail, you can see what the Mid-Atlantic region might look like if you're going at the county level. And when people use the term Northeast, they're usually referring to the combination of both New England and the Mid-Atlantic states.
I think for that one, and the first one, New England, I'd be like, yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
Mid-Atlantic, I've never heard before.
I always get New England mixed up with a state. I always think it's a state.
Oh, not a bunch of them.
I don't think about the regions.
Yeah, it's a weird thing, isn't it? Because I feel like New England is used quite a lot. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, it is. For me, it's like, I don't know, the England equivalent, like saying Yorkshire, but then I don't think about like the Humberside.
No, definitely.
I never know what that's called.
Yeah, no, I know what you mean. But it's just weird because, like you say, Mid-Atlantic never mentioned, or at least I've never heard it mentioned. But New England is so prominent, the name. Maybe
that's what I think is a state all the time.
Yeah, that's what I mean. I can kind of get it because it is kind of shoved in your face more, isn't it?
Going down the coast, the next region is the Southeast. There are multiple ways to define the Southeast, but I've always used the term to reference the parts of the South that are more coastal oriented, but also the ones that are the most southeastern, so that would include just these states here. However, many folks would extend Southeast to include Virginia, Tennessee, and Mississippi.
I think Mississippi
but you'll also hear the term
in there.
simply the South. And for me, the South encompasses the Southeast, as well as the Appalachians, as well as the South Central part of the country. A lot of people wouldn't put West Virginia in the South, but for me, most of the people in the state live in the southern half of the state, so I do consider it southern.
Well, I'd say
there's also some debate.
Not part of the South. That line I'm looking at.
Yeah, I'm completely with you. You kind of go that line.
I'd say they're Mid-Atlantic because they're not South.
That's the South. You'd probably say that's the North.
Yeah.
And then you in the centre. Yeah, I agree with it. Again, we don't make the rules, but that's what it looks like, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
Look at the South when looking at the state level. Sometimes you'll even see the South whittled down to not include Virginia and Florida. And these states here, I guess you could call the heart of the South.
South.
And this is also the part of the country where much of our popular music originated from. Whether it be rock and roll or R&B that derived from blues and jazz, this is where it all came from. But just like the other regions, it's really hard to define the South simply by using state boundaries.
Okay.
So here's a map that I created showing what might be considered the South if you go outside of state boundaries and use county lines. I've included about 1/2 of
It's missing
Texas,
Louisiana,
but
though.
about 2/3 of the population
bit
of
of
the
it,
state
isn't it?
lives
And
in that
Florida.
1/2 of the area of the state. Western and southwest Texas is defined a little more by a Mexican
taking a bit
culture,
of
but
every
not so
state,
much by
hasn't it? I
eastern and
remember.
southeastern. Central and South Florida is often associated with Cuban, Puerto Rican, and other Caribbean influences. And perhaps controversially, I have also removed southeastern Louisiana from this map. Just like West and Southwest Texas, Central and South Florida, southeastern Louisiana was a little more influenced by French, Cajun, and Creole culture.
Okay.
But I can
Okay.
certainly see myself
So
being
it's going off influence,
Cultural influence.
not geography. Because I was like, there's a lot south of this bit here, but he's going off his opinion on influence of the South. So if you get, like, let's say, a typical Southern person,
Yeah.
if you look at South of Florida, like really South Florida, they're not going to match apparently. You look at these states, they will match.
Yeah.
But I think I might say
That's
that.
where it's
aren't I?
going, I think. Yeah.
Let us know your opinions on these, because he's left some out. Let us know what you think.
in the minority to not include New Orleans and the surrounding area as part of the South in terms of Southern culture. But my take on it is if Miami and Tampa are not Southern, then neither is New Orleans.
Okay.
The region called the Midwest is generally considered to
Ooh,
be
is that
these
middle?
states. And this
And
region
west?
in and of itself
I'd
consists
have
of two
stopped at
different
Illinois.
subregions, the Great Lakes and the Northern Great Plains.
I'd have left Indiana out.
I agree.
And
India,
Mississippi
but
and
that's
Ohio.
very east, isn't it?
That's no. So I would have gone Indiana and Kentucky onwards.
Yep.
But that is the line. That line from Kentucky and West Virginia and Virginia.
Here.
Yes, I'd gone there and then across.
Oh, you'd gone across here.
No, but
Okay, down there,
Kentucky.
including Kentucky.
No. I would have gone from Indiana down
Yep.
and across to Virginia.
Okay.
No, from the bottom. Go right down to Kentucky. And
Yeah.
across now.
Okay.
And that would have been my east.
Okay, got you. So I didn't
doing
know you were
east.
doing east.
And then Tennessee, North Carolina down would be
Yeah.
myself to Louisiana.
Southeast.
I
Yeah.
would have included Arizona,
Yeah.
Louisiana.
Yeah, I get that.
And then I would, yeah.
I feel like as well, this here, all this section you'd say is the middle, wouldn't you? I mean, you got west, huge middle, east. Would you not?
Yeah.
I think I'd go with that. But I just thought Michigan's way too east to be Midwest.
Yeah, no, I don't like that.
Let us know what you think on this. Maybe we just might be completely wrong. We're just going off our opinions, but
No,
let us know.
I'm not a fan of that.
Many non-Americans are often confused when they hear the term Midwest and they see it's these states. But the term Midwest came to be used at a time when the U.S. was basically just the states along the Atlantic coast.
Okay.
So there was the far west over the Rocky Mountains, and this was the Midwest.
Kind of makes sense.
And the
The
name has
logic.
stuck through all these years, even though most of Michigan and Indiana and all of Ohio are in the Eastern time zone. Part of the Midwest identity is large industrial cities, many of which are referred to as Rust Belt nowadays. Rural areas are known for growing of grains and animal feed. And there's also a lot of water with the Great Lakes, the Upper Mississippi River, the Upper Ohio, and the Missouri rivers. But similar to the South, the Midwest cannot be defined simply by state lines. Looking more at the county level, northern Missouri goes with the Midwest and southern Missouri goes with the South.
Okay.
Most of Kentucky would be considered southern, but the big population center around Louisville and the Cincinnati suburbs is more Midwestern. And once you get to the western part of the Dakotas and Nebraska, you're really getting out into the west. And speaking of the west,
You're
from a
too far
state
east,
boundary
Bob.
standpoint, it would be these 11 states. These are
Ooh,
generally
what are you
defined
saying?
as the
Would you include that, again, this is just our opinion on the state lines. You going with that as your west?
If I'm splitting up my middle and my east.
Yeah, you going with that?
Yeah, but I'd have to split up. I literally think I'd do a fine line from Illinois right down.
Yeah, but as your
Missouri.
middle.
That's my middle, and then that's all my
I
east.
suppose it's quite good. I was thinking maybe cut these ones out.
No, I
But
don't know.
Montana, maybe you'd have to go through Montana, I don't know.
It's a
But
fair split, I think. If you
that
split.
is actually quite a fair split. Again, we're just chatting rubbish because it doesn't make a difference what we think, but that's what we're going with.
states from the Rocky Mountains to the Pacific Ocean. A big part of what makes the West are the mountains. This is also the driest part of the country and the part of the country most susceptible to wildfires.
And very
But
warm.
kind of like how
Which
when
I like.
sometimes
I
people
like
use
warm.
the term Mid-Atlantic to just mean those megalopolis cities, sometimes when people use the term West, they're talking about the big open areas, the big wilderness, and the open skies.
Okay.
So if you use that criteria and you break it down at the county level, this might be what you would call the West.
We've just
Now, of
missed all
course,
the
there are big
coast stuff.
cities
Though.
within this: Denver, Salt Lake, Las Vegas, Phoenix. But overall, this is the big, wide open areas, just the giant skies, huge wilderness, and not the big population centers along the coast.
Okay, because the coast
But
is
using this
populated.
criteria of big open spaces and very few people, the western parts of North Dakota, South Dakota, Nebraska, Kansas, Oklahoma, and Texas would be called Western.
Okay. I do feel like
the
you
West
have to
is-
take out Las Vegas, though. I know he mentioned it, saying it's still quite open, but you do have such a populated place there. You've got to take it out, haven't you? If you're going to
Yeah.
go by that logic.
Itself can be divided up between the Northwest and the Southwest. When people are talking about the Northwest, it's usually just the two states, Oregon and Washington. However, sometimes you'll see Idaho and
Yeah.
Montana considered part of the Northwest.
Idaho.
That would
And
make
as a
sense,
result,
wouldn't it?
sometimes you'll hear the term Pacific
No, if
Northwest
you're
to
gonna-
mean specifically just Oregon.
If you're going to include Montana, you got to include Wyoming.
That's
and
the
Idaho.
issue. The issue with
'Cause they're not
Montana,
it's not that much far down Idaho
it's not.
to Wyoming.
The issue is with Montana is because it's so big. Because of this bit here, you want to include it, but then because of this bit here, you don't.
Yeah, but I feel like you got to include Wyoming.
But then if you're including Wyoming, how
No.
far do you go? Do you go
Just
with
not put
Utah
Wyoming,
or not?
because that is a nice shape.
Fair
Not
enough.
put Wyoming, because that just looks weird.
I get what you mean.
And Washington. I think you can use the state lines to define
don't-
this
that's
region,
annoying
although
me.
I can understand why people might not want to put
It has
the
that
eastern
corner
third of
in it, but the other
Montana as
corner
part
is.
of the Northwest. In terms of the Southwest, it's generally referred to as
So
these
where's
six
Wyoming?
states.
It's
And these
in
are
the middle.
defined more by open
No, it's
desert
northwest.
and not so green landscapes. It's also a part of the country that was heavily influenced by Mexican culture,
Okay.
and as a result, many people use the term Southwestern to refer to the part of the country that has had a lot of Mexican influence and therefore would include Texas.
That makes sense.
But just like all the other regions, it's really
But
hard to define.
Obviously, Texas isn't southwest.
No, it's not.
It's central, but it does make sense with the whole Mexican. If you're going off a Mexican vibe, so far, a lot of them coming over, living in these places, makes sense.
This region by state lines. So by going at the county level, you can see that it wouldn't include the northernmost parts of California, Nevada, Utah, and Colorado. For Texas, it's basically just the counties near the Mexican border, and I did put San Antonio with the Southwest. And another way of thinking about it is if you go to this part of the country, you'll see many towns named San or Santa, this or that. Alaska and Hawaii would be their own regions, but I think the two states that are most difficult to put into a region are Oklahoma and West Virginia.
He didn't put
Oklahoma
Wyoming in
is where
either.
the West, the Midwest, and the Southeast all come together. And West Virginia is where the
Use the
Midwest,
line.
the Northeast, and the Southeast come together. So in summary, although we might use terms Northeast, Southeast, Midwest, or whatever, the region isn't always just defined by the cardinal direction. Although the names do generally fall within that part of the country, for example, you wouldn't call the southwestern part of the U.S. the quote-unquote South. And now you know that even though Utah and Colorado are Midwest, they're not part of the Midwest.
Yeah,
if you're-
but I do not agree with that map at all in terms of like geography location. That's actually annoying me looking at it. I'm hearing what he's saying and I'm liking it, but that is annoying. Do you know what I mean?
I make my own.
Yeah, you need to make your own.
For non-American wonder what parts of the country these terms refer to, hopefully this video was able to help you out a little bit. So that's my look at names.
Well, there you
for-
go. I feel like we've completely probably missed the point on this, gone geography, and everyone's like, you absolute idiots. But we've had fun, haven't we?
Yeah, I'm recreating the regions.
We're going to decide, even though we don't live there, we've
I'm
never
gonna do
been to any of these places, but smash that like button, guys, smash the subscribe button. Hope you enjoyed that. Let us know your opinions in the comments below. And what should we do?
1,000 likes and I'll post it. My regions.
What? Your reasons on the
My
community?
region. Yeah, I'll post it on. No, I'll post it on. Yeah, I'll post it on community.
Yeah.
My version of the regions. 1,000 likes.
Smash that button, guys, smash the subscribe button. What should we do?
How fantastic.
And we'll see you, legends, in the next one. Peace.